if you can bring somebody the feeling that they can do something, that anything is possible, that they can be hopeful, people pay really good money for that.
This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 209, Selling Boldly, an interview with Alex Goldfein.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers. And today we're going to talk about the emerging science of what our guest calls positive psychology. Alex Goldfein argues that the right attitude dramatically increases your confidence, your happiness, and your sales. Too often sellers are timid. Too often sellers have a lot of fear in them. If they were to start selling boldly, think of the possibilities and the success that you would see. So, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Alex. Are you ready to babble?
I am totally excited to babble.
Alex, you got a new book out, right? It's called
Yes, sir.
Selling Boldly. When's it coming out?
So the official launch date is April 2nd. It's going to be available, as these things usually are, the week before on the various internet book selling sites.
And what makes you the right guy to write this book?
So it's my fourth book, and I run a consulting practice on revenue growth. So I grow the companies of my clients, and so I am essentially spending my life and my days working with sales people, and also the people who manage them, and also the people who run and own the companies that they work for.
Yep.
And the thing that drove me to writing the book is fear costs us salespeople an awful lot of money. It's the reason we don't pick up the phone. We don't want to offend the customer or the prospect. We don't want to step on their toes. We don't want to take their time. And so the book deals with fear and the psychology of selling, and specifically the various elements of positive psychology, which is the study of what makes us happy and successful, as opposed to the rest of psychology, which is the study of what makes us screwed up, right? Anxious and depressed. It looks at the role of positive psychology in selling. So it looks at optimism and confidence and boldness and proactivity as opposed to reactivity, and how they can lead us to making phone calls instead of writing emails, how they can lead us to asking for the business every time we're talking to a customer instead of shying away from it because we don't want to offend them. And so the book really looks at knowing how good you are and then behaving accordingly as a salesperson. And in our world, to make more money, accordingly means boldly. We have to behave confidently and boldly. So that's the book.
You gave some awesome examples. There was like 3 examples at the front of the book that really kind of locked in practically how this fear arises in salespeople. Want to share some of those?
So are we talking about like the coffee story and the water story?
Yeah.
Sure. So I was in the Minneapolis airport, and I was buying an iced coffee because that's what I drink. I like iced Americanos. And the girl behind the counter, this was a Caribou coffee shop, and the girl behind the counter, who was all of maybe 20 years old, said to me, "Would you like a bottle of water with that?" And I said, "Oh, my God." She just asked me the did you know question, which is something that I teach. We can talk about that. I said, "Do they teach you how to ask this question?" She said, "Yes, they do. It's a part of our training." I said, how many people buy a bottle of water? She said, almost everybody. Almost everybody buys the water, right? Because getting on an airplane, I want a bottle of water. Guess how much the water costs?
I don't know, $3-4?
$5.
Woo!
Water costs $5. Guess how much the coffee costs?
$2-3?
Yeah, the coffee costs $3. So with this simple question, would you like a bottle of water with that? This coffee shop nearly triples its revenue with water, right? By selling water. So the question is, for our listeners, for the salespeople listening right now, what is your bottle of water? What's yours? What are your customers buying day after day from you that they've niched you as being a seller of, and they have no idea what else you can sell to them and help them with? Your other products, your other services, the other things you can do for them, which, by the way, your customers right now, as we sit here, are buying from the competition. Right now. They're buying it elsewhere. They need it. They'd like to buy it from you. That's why they've been with you for years or maybe decades. They've been with your company for a long time for a reason. They like buying from you. You're helpful. You would like to sell it to them. Obviously, we want to grow sales, but none of that is possible because they simply don't know. We assume they know. They do not know. So what's your bottle of water?
All right. Sometimes you got a bottle of water sell. In some businesses you don't. In some businesses you don't have. You don't have a follow-up. Some businesses are more transactional, you know. But those are tough businesses, aren't they?
I think that if we unbundle the products and services that we have to offer, because we salespeople tend to bundle things up, right? What do? I sell software. What do? I sell lumber or pipes and valves.
Which is driven by our clients. Like, they always want single solutions, you know, which is a real pain, especially if you're a startup and you're trying to break in. And,
yeah.
And I got the best of breed here. Yeah, but it's not part of my overall solution package, you know.
And so I'm saying unbundle that solution package and tell customers and prospects the various things that go into it because they don't know, right? Let me ask you this question. How many times have you heard this stupid thing? I didn't know you did that, right? Every salesperson on the planet has heard, I didn't know you did that. And you say to the guy, dude, I just told you last month about the same thing, and you had the exact same reaction. And so the takeaway from that is just because we tell somebody something doesn't mean they know, right?
Right.
Doesn't mean they know. Why don't they know? If I told you what else you can buy from me last month, why don't you remember it?
Yeah,
what happened?
Yeah, the thing is they didn't care. They were focused on something else. It's not that they didn't care, but they had higher priorities, so it just wasn't in their mind space.
Yeah, they were thinking about something else.
This month it is.
That's it. You tried to scratch an itch which they didn't have, right? And so just because we tell somebody something doesn't mean they know. And we, as I said a couple minutes ago, we remember everything we bring up, and we don't want to, coming back to fear now, we don't want to tell people repeatedly because we don't want to upset them, right? We don't want to make them mad at us. We don't want to lose that business. So if this customer tells me no to this product that I'm offering them, because that's the great fear, the fear of rejection, what happens then, right? Because that's the thing we fear. That's why we don't tell people about our other products. That's why we don't pick up the phone. If they tell me no, I am going to die. It's death. If they tell me no, will they come and take the house tomorrow, right? If this customer rejects this product, right? Will the children not have milk to drink tomorrow? If this customer doesn't need this product today? Of course not. So what really happens, right? If this customer tells us no, what actually happens?
Nothing.
That's it. Not a damn thing happens.
Nothing
right?
happens.
Next man up, right? You're in the Chicago area, right?
Right.
Yeah, I am too. So we had a coach. I don't know if you're a sports fan, but the Chicago Bulls had a coach named Tom Thibodeau.
Oh, I remember Thibodeau.
And Tibbs coaches in Minnesota now.
I think he's up in Minnesota right now. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. He's in the process of ending Jimmy Butler's career right now. Who went up there and he's overplaying him like crazy, just like he overplays everybody else. But anyway, Thibodeau always said, because the Bulls kept having players who were injured all the time, we have more than enough to win. Next man up. Next man up. And so the way I like to apply that to sales. We have more than enough customers and prospects to grow our sales, even if this one tells us no. So next man up. Next up. Go to the next one.
You also told a story about follow-up. If I recall right, you had some like contractors that you had you asked for bids.
Yes. Yeah, I was buying insulation at our house, and three contractors came out to quote the project. And I'd never bought insulation before, so I didn't know what was involved. But three guys came out and ran their interesting tests and sent me quotes. One guy followed up. Guess who got the business?
The guy who followed up.
Guy who followed up. Guess who was the most expensive?
Probably.
Guy. That same guy. He got the business. He was the most expensive. So why did he get the business?
Yeah.
He got the business because he followed up. And, you know, wasn't he bothering me when he followed up? Wasn't he annoying me? Wasn't Mr. Goldfein, he said to me, why don't you send me the other two quotes and I'll take a look and I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. I sent him the other two quotes. Was it fair to the other two guys? No, it wasn't. Did I care? No. They were silent. I wasn't seeing them. I wasn't hearing from them. This guy, he wasn't bothering me. He wasn't stepping on my toes. What was he doing? He was showing me that he, what?
Cared, was on top of things.
That's it. He was interested. He was present, right?
Right. And as the face of the company, he gave you that impression like this company would come through with you and provide you the service exactly that you were looking for.
That's it. Listen, we sell to humans, and all people really want is for us to be present. People just want to know that we care, you know, that we'll be there for them, and that we won't make them look like fools like most of their other suppliers do. Because I interview the customers of my clients, and I ask them, what do you like best about working with my client, with you guys? And they say to me, they do what they say. When there are mistakes, they bring them to me, as opposed to my other suppliers who hide them, and then I discover them, and then it's really, really hard to fix them. And so we assume that everybody out there is great, and that our competition does wonderful work. And my experience is, this is working with clients in all different industries, my experience is that the competition is not very good, and that you are better, and that it is not hard to stand out from that crowd.
Yeah.
And the way to stand out is to communicate, is to be present, but we don't because we are afraid. We think our customers are getting calls all day long from everybody. The truth is, nobody picks up the phone. Nobody calls. They're not getting calls. When you call, you're the only one. And it's nice to get a call from somebody you like. Now, I want to make a point here. I'm not talking about cold calling. I'm talking about relationship calling, right? Human calling. How are you? How have you been? I was thinking about you. How's your family? How are your kids doing? And by the way, what are you working on these days that I might be able to help with? Like that. People love getting those calls.
So how does this? So let's start. So we've been in the problem space. Let's walk into the solution space here. If fear is the greatest enemy of sales, how does this positive psychology that you spoke about earlier, how does that address that?
So the way to deal with this fear is to talk to your happy customers very briefly and ask them, what are you happy about with us? What do you like best? How does that help you? Working with us helps you how? Because guess what? If you ask customers, they're going to tell you. Have you ever asked somebody for their opinion and they tell you, I'd rather not share with you what's on my mind right now? Nobody says that. People love being asked what they think. So if you absorb from your customers why they do business with you, what they like about doing business with you, your thinking about your work and your value is going to change dramatically. And the reason we have to go out to talk to these happy customers is this. When do customers call us? When they're happy?
Oh, when they got problems.
When they have a problem?
Oh, yeah.
When something's wrong? Or simply when they need something urgently, right? Nobody ever calls and says, hey, take 9 months, get to it whenever you're ready. Anytime. Nobody makes that phone call. So we only deal with people who call us when they're mad because there's a problem, or when something's really, really urgent when they're really close to being mad because they waited too long to call. So we start to believe that our customers aren't happy with us because this is how we spend our days, reacting to problems and urgencies. So, God, people must not like us very much. We must do bad work because they're always mad when they call. The truth is that's only 10% of your customers. Those are the squeaky wheels, right? Those are the people that have issues now. And even them, when they zoom out from those issues, they're generally happy, right? That's why they're calling you for the last 10 years.
The vast majority of your loyal clients are very happy. And that's why
it's just that we're not hearing from them, right?
You don't talk to them.
They don't call. I'm good. If I'm good and everything's okay, why should I waste my time and call you? I don't need to talk to you. I'm going to talk to the others that I do have problems with, right? So that's how it works. And so we have to go to these 90% of our happy customers and ask them, what is it specifically that they're happy about? And they're going to say things like this: you're always there for me. You do what you say you're going to do. You save me time. I like that I can call you on the phone and actually talk to you, and if I leave a message, you call me back. If I ask you for something, you actually do it. I actually say to these customers, because I interview them, I say, well, doesn't everybody in business kind of have to do what they say they're going to do? Isn't that like an important part of being in business? And they laugh. They say, God, no, I wish everybody did what they say they're going to do. But it's a tiny minority of people who do what they say they're going to do.
Okay, so you got this information from them that they're all happy and they love you. How do you leverage that?
How you leverage is, so the first part of the leverage is knowing how good you are. Number one, know how good you are. And that comes from these conversations. You have to know your value. You can't sit down at your desk with a piece of paper and write out how good you are, because that's weird and it doesn't work.
So you use this to build your value proposition.
You use this to build your confidence, your positivity, your boldness, even your happiness. Because you literally see people, because I record these calls and then I play them, and you see the salespeople sitting up taller in their chairs. You know, they become proud and confident and motivated and bold. And when you know how good you are...
Yeah, I used to do this all the time. Like, let's say I was making sales calls. I would go stop by a client on the way and say, how are things going? Just pop in. And I was always all pumped up. And then I would go do my real sales call. And it made a huge psychological difference in how I approached it.
So I mean, that's pretty much exactly what this is. You know, you were using the principles of positive psychology to bump yourself up without even maybe, knowing the technical aspects of this, but that's exactly what you were doing. That's why athletes will often review their best games so that they can visualize and relive those successes before they go into an important game. Same concept.
I tell you, I'm a little bit skeptical about some happiness stuff because I personally, Alex, I'm a pretty happy person, a pretty positive.
Yeah.
I worry. I do worry about it. I am a worrier, which I read the other day means I'll have a long life because people who worry live longer.
But people who worry tend to be human beings.
So how?
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather buy from a happy salesperson or an unhappy one?
Oh, no, there's no doubt. I want to deal with somebody who's positive, right?
And so that was going to be my next question. Who's going to outperform, the positive salesperson or the negative one?
The question's really this. For people who don't naturally have that ability in them, what things can they take action on to overcome this fear that really is, and I think your book does a good job of explaining, it's gripping. It stops people from taking action.
It's paralyzing.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Guess how many hours a week the typical salesperson averages on the phone? Hours a week on average on the phone?
20.
The average number of hours a week on the phone is 4. 4 hours a week. Now, you work for 40, right? You, Mr. Salesperson. Not you, but the salesperson. You work for 40 hours. And the job is to talk to humans, right? So what the hell is happening
Well,
the other 36 hours?
Yeah, like my youngest son's an SDR for a software tech company. He admits his phone calls are like 3 minutes. It's a 3-minute phone call. He says, but it may take an hour to prepare for that phone call.
Yeah, so I'm preparing, I'm researching, of course, email instead of
now that I
phone
think about it, that's kind of what I've seen.
I'm driving in the car because, God forbid, the phone doesn't work in the car, does it? Right? You can't drive and make a phone call on the Bluetooth.
It's
possible.
Really tough.
4 hours. And the reason we avoid the phone is because when we get rejected on the phone, we get rejected into our ear hole, right? It's an intimate rejection. And so we fear this. And it's easier. I've sent an email. I've done my job. Well, the truth is you haven't really done anything because we don't even know if your recipient got the email, if they saw the email, if it registered into their brains that you emailed or what you emailed. That is why we avoid the phone. So now I'm going to circle back to your question. The thing to do if you are gripped by fear is to listen to your customers and understand that they speak more positively and warmly and emotionally about you than you do. They sell you better.
It's like,
than you
cut
sell
yourself some slack. You're better than you think you are.
Look, if I'm a prospect and I talk to your customer, and then I talk to you, your customer will sell me better than you will sell yourself. Always. This is a universal truth for any company.
I've seen this at trade shows.
Yeah.
Where my customers start selling for me on the floor. And it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah. And so, as you said, cut yourself some slack, understand that you're a lot better than you think, and understand, for God's sake, that people want to buy from positive, enthusiastic, energized salespeople who make the... Look, if you can bring somebody hopefulness, and I don't know if that's exactly the right form of that word, right? If you can bring somebody the feeling that they can do something, that anything is possible, that they can be hopeful, people pay really good money for that. But if you make somebody feel like they can't do it, or if you bring them down in your sales work, they will run away from you.
Yep. Alex, how can people find you online? Tell us about your book. How can they buy your book?
So the book is called Selling Boldly. You can buy it anywhere. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on Barnes & Noble. You can go to my website to see about my work. I do lots of keynote speeches. I do workshops. I did 50 live events last year, exactly on the button, 50. You can go to goldfayn.com, which is GOLDFAYN. And we actually got something cool for your listeners. It's a custom page I've set up here that has downloads that are only available in the book. So your folks can get them early.
Awesome.
And you can download these planning tools. For example, we have a proactive call planner. We have a did you know planner, did you know question planner. So you have these tools and forms and templates to lay out your proactive work so that you can infuse some proactivity into your otherwise reactive day. Most of us have reactive days, and we know that to grow sales planably, strategically, we have to be proactive. We have to infuse some proactivity. So there's tools and forms that you can download there at goldfayn.com/salesbabble.
Salesbabble. I'll make sure and place those in the show notes. If you could give our listeners one piece of advice they could go take action on this week, what would that be?
Pick up the phone and call somebody you haven't talked to in 6 months or more. That is the person that is not calling you. That is the person you're not talking to. And that's somebody who needs you. So make contact. And if you want to grow a lot fast, make one a day like that. Call somebody you haven't talked to in 6 months or more once a day.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Alex, thank you for visiting us here in Sales Babble. I'm glad you were able to overcome your fear. And
it was very frightening for me.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Listen, I'm grateful, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be on with you and to talk with you. I've been a fan for a long time, so thanks for all the great work that you do.
I think Alex is spot on, because I've always found that one of the best ways to create happiness in me is to spend time with my customers. I commonly think my customers are always unhappy because when they call you up, they've got some issue. But the truth is, they rarely call you up. They're, for the most part, very satisfied with you. So if you can take time out of your day to keep in contact with them, that will pump you up for that sales call you're getting ready to have. And remember that email isn't nearly as powerful as picking up the phone. And picking up the phone isn't nearly as powerful as shaking their hands. So if you can overcome that fear by having an attitude of like you can really help them, that will go so far. To find Alex and all the links that he mentioned, go to the show notes at www.salesbabble.com. And there you can find his book, links to his book, Selling Boldly, Applying the New Science of Positive Psychology to Dramatically Increase Your Confidence, Happiness, and Sales. Boy, that's a mouthful. And he's also got that one-page sales planner that he gave us, and that's at goldfayn.com. That's goldfayn.com/salesbabble. So if you got a question or a comment, don't hesitate to reach out to me by going to the website and clicking the Babble Me button. And while you're there, you can find our back catalog that's got archives on prospecting and cold calling and presenting and closing and all kinds of things. And if you like this episode and things about that, why not sponsor us? Why not donate to us? We got a button up there called Donate. You can become a Patreon subscriber. You can do a one-time giveaway. You got some cryptocurrencies that are burning a hole in your pocket. That's the place to go. So, thank you for listening to Sales Babble. You've been very generous with your time. I know there's a number of other things you could have done instead of listening to us babble, but you stayed here, and boy, oh boy, do we appreciate it. So until next week, take care and have a highly successful and profitable day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.